Welcome to the Eternal Wrestling Podcast, where legends never die and rivalries live forever. I'm your host, Jacob, and this is the podcast breaking you down WWE, AEW content week in, week out, and there's plenty more planned where that came from. This is for the real fans, the diehards, the believers. So step between the ropes because this is Eternal Wrestling. We're going to be going over the AEW Dynamite episode from January 21st. And this show starts with world champion MJF making his way to the ring. But as he's making his way down the entrance ramp, he throws his gum into the crowd before climbing up the steps and into the ring. MJF tells Tony Schiavone that you need to hold this microphone up to my mouth, you geriatric. And he starts bragging about his shoes, his suit, his jewelry, and saying that he's the best wrestler alive, despite what people in other promotions may say. And he says that 2026 is the year of the devil, and no one is on my level, because he likes to refer to himself as the devil of professional wrestling. Then out comes big bad Brody King. He just storms right up to the ring, gets face to face with MJF, and the crowd starts chanting, "Brody, Brody, Brody." And soon Brody says, "After what you did last week to my partner Bandito, I've been thinking about all the ways I want to hurt you, and nothing would bring me more joy than ripping your spine out through your chest. But I'm not going to do that, because we all know you're just a bitch." Brody goes on to say that he wants a world championship match, and he wants it tonight. MJF, he backs down a little bit, and he says that he's going to have to say no. It's not because I'm afraid of you, but when I think of you, Brody, a phrase comes to mind: all bark and no bite. He goes on to say that Brody needs to beat elite level talent in order to get his championship match. And he says, if you interrupt me again, we're going to have a problem. And he tries to smash his finger into Brody's chest, but he almost falls back on his ass here. And then he leaves the ring. So I'm really glad that Brody's getting into the world championship picture a bit here. Granted, yes, he does need to get some more significant wins, but there's so many people within this world championship picture right now. Samoa Joe, Hangman, Adam Page, Swerve Strickland, all vying for that world championship title match, that this could spark some really interesting rivalries. I also don't want to forget Kenny Omega, as he has had a battle with diverticulitis, and he had to get like a chunk of his intestines removed, but he's still wrestling. He's got a match tonight as well. So there's a lot of great main event level talent going after the world championship, and it's going to make these next weeks and possibly months very exciting to see where this goes. Next up, Renee interviews the Trios champions, Hangman Adam Page and Jet Speed. And they're trying to decide a tag team name for themselves, and they're, kind of firing off some names. And Mike Bailey, he's like, how about we call ourselves Horsecock? And Hangman shuts him down. He's like, no. I've tried stuff like that before. It's not going to work. And he tells Mike Bailey that you go out there tonight and you beat Samoa Joe, but you need to be careful. And Kevin Knight, he asks for some advice because he's facing Swerve Strickland in the main event. And Hangman just looks at Kevin Knight and says, you know what? It's going to be one hell of a main event tonight. Next up is our opening contest, where Samoa Joe versus Mike Bailey. And Samoa Joe, he's using his power and his striking ability, while Speedball Mike Bailey is really trying to use his quickness and acrobatics during the match. Eventually, Opps members Hook and Shibata come out, and they attack Mike Bailey, while Samoa Joe distracts the referee. And then this match becomes a 3-on-1. Joe throws Bailey to the outside, and he distracts the ref again, getting the ref's attention so that Bailey can be beaten down and thrown back into the ring. But Mike Bailey here, he's able to use moves off the top rope to take down Joe, and he's even able to hit a shooting star press, but can't keep Joe down for that 3 count just yet. And Bailey, he tries to attack Samoa Joe on the outside of the ring, but he's attacked by Shibata, who hits multiple suplexes on him, while, here again, Samoa Joe distracts the ref. And after this, Samoa Joe decides to start targeting the left knee of Bailey with submission holds and just really cranking and attacking on that left knee with strikes. Bailey's barely able to crawl to the ropes to get a rope break. And Bailey, he's able to get some fight back, and he has a series of kicks, and he does a shooting star knee drop onto Samoa Joe. Goes for a pinfall. 1, 2. Samoa Joe kicks out. He can't keep him down just yet. Mike Bailey decides that he's going to go to the top rope, but Hook distracts the ref, which allows Shibata to hold down Mike Bailey on the top rope, which allows Samoa Joe to grab Bailey and hit his finishing buster for Samoa Joe to get the win. I feel like the events of this match were pretty on brand for the Opps, as they're going to keep using the numbers game. They're mad they lost the Trios Championships, and they're going to go for revenge, and this could become ugly over the next couple weeks as they will want a rematch for their championships, obviously. Who wouldn't? I thought this was a good showing for Mike Bailey, as he did what he could do in the match, with the numbers game being at a disadvantage for him. I'm surprised Heyman didn't come out to try to help him, though, or Kevin Knight. I understand Kevin Knight has a match in the main event, but they're supposed to be trios champs, so some backup would have made sense here. But speaking of trios matches, next up is a trio street fight where the Death Riders, Jon Moxley, Wheeler Yuta, and Daniel Garcia, go against the Don Callis family, Lance Archer, Hechicero, and Rocky Romero. The Death Riders run up the ramp and they attack the Don Callis family members as they're making their entrance. The big man, Lance Archer, and Jon Moxley start fighting throughout the crowd, brawling, fighting each other up the steps near the crowd. Daniel Garcia decides that he's going to smash a trash can down around the leg of Hechicero and pretty much pinch his leg down inside the can. Eventually, Lance Archer chokeslams Wheeler Yuta over the barricade through the timekeeper's table with so much force that the table smashes into 3 separate pieces and the frame is bent. And then Lance Archer drives Jon Moxley through a table that he sets up in the corner of the ring. A little while later in the match, Jon Moxley is able to recover and he grabs a board from underneath the ring. It's covered in barbed wire, broken glass, and thumbtacks. And he slides it into the ring, and he's going to try to slam Lance Archer onto it, but unfortunately, it's not Jon Moxley's day, and Lance Archer hits another big choke slam on Moxley and slams him down onto the board. The camera then pans on to Jon Moxley's back as he is coming up, and you can see just the thumbtacks and the glass and some blood running down the back of Jon Moxley here. Death Rider members Claudio and Pac come out to help Wheeler Yuta as he's fighting Lance Archer up the entrance ramp. Claudio grabs a crutch from Pac as Pac has an injured ankle, and he smashes it and breaks it over the back of Lance Archer, taking Archer out for a while. Daniel Garcia is able to put Rocky Romero in a Dragon Tamer submission in the ring, and Rocky succumbs to his fatigue and passes out. After the match, since Don Callis has been on commentary during this whole time, Moxley gets all up in his face and says, "You can tell your boy that he knows where to find me." And him and the Death Riders leave through the crowd. We then get a backstage promo from the Triangle of Madness, and they're calling out Chris Statlander as Tekla. She wants a title match next Wednesday, and she wants Chris Statlander to prepare herself for her eventual loss. Julia Hart calls out the TBS champion Willow, saying, "I never got my rematch," and that she wants a title match on Collision. We then have another tag team match where the tag team champions FTR go against the newly signed Jordan Oliver and Alec Price. So Alec Price and Oliver, they had a decent showing here, I think, just being newly signed. Of course, the tag team champions FTR do get the win here. No big surprise, but it's nice that these newly signed tag team members are able to get some TV time to showcase their abilities. They're going up against a really seasoned tag team FTR. After the match, we have a backstage segment with the women's champions, Harley Cameron, Willow Nightingale, and the women's world champion, Chris Statlander. Willow and Chris both accepted challenges from Tekla and Julia Hart for their respective championships. And this just goes to show that they're not backing down from the Triangle of Madness, and they're going to fight. They're going to be fighting champions, and they're going to prove their worth. Next up, we have a singles match where Kenny Omega versus Josh Alexander. As Kenny Omega is making his way to the ring, Josh Alexander runs from behind and gets a couple cheap shots in on Kenny. And then as Kenny's laying on the flooring near the ring, Josh starts ripping up the padding near the ring to expose the concrete floor. But he's eventually stopped by Kenny, and Kenny climbs up on top of the barricade and does a moonsault, showing off great acrobatics here before this match even really starts. After this, both men finally get into the ring for the bell to sound. And Josh Alexander, he's taking control of the fight, in the ring, and then it spills to the outside. Omega is able to hit a dragon suplex on Josh and smashing him into that exposed concrete. And both men then return to the ring. But it doesn't take long for this action to spill back to the outside once more. And eventually, Omega smashes Josh Alexander's head off the announce table a few times. And then with Don Callis being there at the announce table, runs off Don Callis through the crowd. Omega is eventually back in the ring with Alexander, and he hits a running V trigger. He then picks up Josh Alexander, hits him with a big power bomb, and then hits another V trigger running knee. And then finally, he picks up Josh Alexander in the one winged angel finishing maneuver, slams him down onto the mat to get the pinfall win here. Kenny got really aggressive there towards the end and just was dishing out the pain to make sure Josh did not get up. I thought this was a great match between both men, and it seemed like it was hard for them to keep the action inside the ring because they just kept spilling to the outside and fighting. And it was nice to see some like very heelish tactics at the beginning from Josh, like exposing the concrete. I wish that would have been played into a little bit more during the match with, maybe him trying to incorporate some more weapons or something. But all in all, I enjoyed this match. I really do like Kenny Omega. And even though he's had some health problems in recent years, like I mentioned earlier, the diverticulitis, he really showed up and showed out here Wednesday night. And then next up, we have a women's tag team match where Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford go against Toni Storm and Mina Shirakawa, the Timeless Love Bombs, as they call themselves. In the beginning stages of the match, Megan Bayne, she picks up Mina over her head and she throws her out of the ring and actually has so much power that instead of Mina smashing into Toni Storm on the outside, she goes flying over Toni Storm. And I am surprised Mina didn't get hurt here. It was very bad looking the way she landed. And then since Toni and Mina were both on the outside trying to recover and, get some wind in their lungs, Megan picks up Penelope Ford, her tag team partner, and launches her to the outside. Penelope smashes down into Toni and Mina, and Bayne and Ford, they're just really dominating here. Megan Bayne, she's able to hit a big lariat on Mina before tagging in Ford, and Ford and Bayne then are just double teaming, just taking down Mina Shirakawa. And Megan Bayne, she hits a big slam, and then Penelope hits a moonsault onto Shirakawa for a 2 count here. And Mina, she makes her comeback, and she takes Megan Bayne down with a big drop kick. And finally, she's able to tag in Toni Storm, where Toni, she's just unloading on Penelope with a snapmare and German suplex on Ford, and she follows it up with a big running hip attack. But then Megan Bayne, she's able to send Storm and Mina Shirakawa crashing into each other. And then Megan Bayne and Penelope are able to double team on their opponents. But Mina's not staying down and out. She hits a sling bait on Penelope from the top rope. Goes for a pinfall. 1, 2, but Megan Bayne makes the save here for her team. There's some back and forth fighting between both teams of women before Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford hit the Doomsday Device on Mina Shirakawa. They go for a pinfall. 1, 2, 3. While this is happening, Mina Shafir runs to the ring, hops a barricade, and she's choking out Toni Storm while this pinfall attempt is happening, using her submission, the Mother's Milk, to take out Toni. It's really looking like Mina and Toni need someone else to help them in their battle here, since it's really becoming 3-on-2. I really like Megan Bayne. She's just a big, strong woman, obviously very powerful, able to launch not only her, tag team partner, but her opponents, just sending them flying out of the ring. She could become a women's singles champion or a tag team champion in the future. I definitely see that for her. She's got a great look. She's just got that big, dominant presence. And I feel like she's going to be a main eventer in no time. And with her being in this rivalry with Toni could help elevate her to newer heights. Then, you know what time it is. It's main event time. The last match of the night where Swerve Strickland takes on Kevin Knight. Just a singles match here. So Swerve, he almost took a count-out victory after he hit a pile driver on the barricade to Kevin. But when he got back in the ring, Swerve caught him with a 450 splash and a dragon sleeper. Kevin, he fought free, and he went to the top rope where he hit a crazy-looking Hurricane Rana, coast to coast, and a UFO splash. He goes for a pinfall. 1, 2, almost had the 3 count here, but Swerve had his situational awareness, and he put his foot on the rope just in time to save him. Swerve, he fought back. He landed a house call kick, a vertebreaker, and big pressure on Kevin Knight to get the pinfall victory. So this match, it felt like Kevin Knight, he could have won here. That it was kind of like past and present somewhat, as so many people have been saying that Kevin Knight, he's the future, but he's declaring himself as the present of AEW, so to speak. And going into this, I fully expected Swerve to win, as he is on the World Championship title hunt, and him losing would just set him back in the long run here. I did think it was interesting, though, how 2 out of the 3 Trios champions lost here in this Dynamite episode. It doesn't exactly make them look weak, but it definitely shows that the Opps are a force to be reckoned with. And I did like how after the match, Swerve, he really, he left the ring and he let Kevin Knight get the praise from the crowd and really just showed respect to him. So while we didn't get a ton of big story beats here, we got a lot of really great quality wrestling. And that is something that I'm always down for. The show is a professional wrestling show. Give me more wrestling. Let's cut down on the promos and let's keep the action in the ring. So I was really happy with this episode of Dynamite, and the Opps Shibata is taking on Hangman Adam Page this Saturday on Collision. So I'm sure more crazy antics will happen. Maybe Samoa Joe and Hook will come out and try to get the jump on Hangman. Throughout the Dynamite episode here tonight, MJF was paying really close attention to a lot of these matches, probably taking mental notes and seeing who his next potential challenger will be. So the next AEW pay-per-view is in March, and it's Revolution. So we definitely have a lot of time before that happens, where we could get multiple number 1 contenders before the pay-per-view for MJF, as he has a long list now of hungry challengers. So I'm really excited for the future months leading into Revolution with AEW. I really hope Collision is good this Saturday. And we also have Saturday night's main event, WWE, on Saturday as well. So Saturday, it will be packed full of wrestling. I will be covering that and just really exciting things going forward. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode of the podcast. And whether you're listening in the morning or at night, I hope you all have enjoyed. And I will catch you guys in the next episode.